The last few days in AI have been kind of insane. We've got brand new models, weird corporate moves, and some genuinely massive shifts in where the money is going. First up, OpenAI just dropped GPT 5.5, and this is actually a big deal. Not just new model big, but we're slowly turning ChatGPT into a full-blown AI operating system for your work. So here's what's happening. OpenAI is calling GPT 5.5 its smartest and most intuitive model so far, and they're explicitly framing it as a step toward what Greg Brockman is calling a super app for AI. Basically, instead of you jumping between a coding tool, a research assistant, a writing app, and a data agent, OpenAI wants one model that can quietly do all of that behind the scenes. Now here's the interesting part. Mark Chen from OpenAI says GPT 5.5 isn't just better at chatting, it's better at navigating computers and at doing real scientific and technical work. Think less. Just answer my question and more. Open this tool, run that workflow, tweak this experiment, and keep iterating, like having a junior researcher or junior engineer living inside your browser. And this is why it matters. If a single model is good enough at coding, at research, and at software navigation, whoever controls that model is dangerously close to owning the default interface for knowledge work. So GPT 5.5 isn't just another benchmark bump. It's OpenAI quietly testing what life looks like when your AI assistant becomes the front door to your job. Have you tested GPT 5.5 already? Please let me know in the comments below your initial impression about the new model. So while OpenAI is pushing toward a super app, Google is doing the "we'll power your whole company" version of the same idea. At its cloud conference, Google basically rebranded its Vertex AI platform under a new name, Gemini Enterprise, and put AI agents right at the center of the story. What you're looking at here, if you imagine the slides on screen, is Google saying, we don't just sell models, we sell ready-to-deploy AI workers for your business. These agents aren't just chatbots, they're software that can plan, make decisions, and act on their own inside corporate systems. Sundar Pichai and Google Cloud CEO Thomas Kurian are calling this the next phase of their money-making strategy. Take Gemini, wrap it in governance, security, and tools, and hand enterprises something that looks a lot like digital employees. And they're explicitly acknowledging that customers want this as infrastructure, not just as a toy interface, something you plug into workflows, not something you just talk to in a browser. If you've made it this far and haven't subscribed yet, and you'd like to see more content like this, I truly appreciate your support by subscribing to the channel. Now, this next one is kind of wild. Meta is going to start recording its US employees' mouse movements, clicks, keystrokes, and even periodic screenshots, all to train its own AI agents to actually use computers like humans do. So instead of just giving a model text instructions, Meta wants examples of real people navigating drop-down menus, clicking buttons, using shortcuts, all the boring stuff you do every day without thinking about it. The idea is simple. If you want AI that can operate a normal business app, it needs to see how humans actually move through those interfaces. According to internal memos Reuters saw, this new monitoring tool runs on work apps and websites and occasionally grabs screenshots for context. Meta says the data is only for training models, not for performance reviews, and that they'll protect sensitive info, but you can already see the tension here. Super powerful agents trained using very intimate behavioral data from real employees. So remember what we said about AI agents being like digital workers? Meta is literally turning its human workers into training data so that future AI workers can replace chunks of what they do. That's efficient, but also kind of unsettling. So while Meta is feeding agents with employee data, OpenAI is doing something more old-school corporate, doubling down on its coding product, Codex, and basically pruning the rest. OpenAI just announced a big push with global consulting firms to get Codex deeper into large enterprises. Think the Accentures and Deloittes of the world walking into clients and saying, "We'll rebuild your software workflows around OpenAI." They're also launching something called Codex Labs, where OpenAI's own experts go and embed inside customer companies to help wire all this into existing systems. Here's the important contrast. A few months ago, OpenAI had splashy consumer-facing projects like Sora, the viral video generator. Now, Reuters reports they've scaled back or ended those smaller experiments to reallocate resources into core products like Codex and ChatGPT, the ones that directly make money in enterprise. Now, let's switch to gaming, because this is where AI stops being hype and starts being raw margin. Morgan Stanley just put out a report saying AI could cut video game development costs by almost half, unlocking up to $22 billion in annual profit for game makers worldwide. So think about everything that makes a modern game expensive: building huge environments, writing endless dialogue, testing every edge case. According to the report, advanced AI tools can automate big chunks of that, from generating art and worlds to writing in-game conversations to speeding up QA. Right now, global consumer spending on games is around $275 billion, and about 20% of that, roughly $55 billion, is reinvested into development and operations. If AI lets studios do the same output with much smaller teams and faster iterations, a lot of that spend stops being cost and starts being profit. But here's the catch. Morgan Stanley warns that this benefit won't be evenly distributed. Large studios with the money to build or license the best AI pipelines will get most of the upside, while smaller teams might actually get squeezed if the baseline quality bar jumps overnight. So AI isn't just changing how games are made, it's changing who gets to win in the games business. Kristalina Georgieva, the head of the IMF, recently summed it up as AI or fail. Basically, if you're a business or an economy and you ignore AI, you fall behind. But Reuters points out that big tech's profits are now tightly tied to energy, and we're hitting what looks like an energy squeeze. U.S. tech stocks have just had a big rebound, and AI optimism is driving a massive share of that. The tech sector is close to its historic peak share of the S&P 500 by market cap. But with global energy prices seeing their biggest jump in 5 years, there's a real question whether today's super bullish earnings forecasts actually survive the cost of all this new compute power. Economists at BNP Paribas still think AI's productivity boost will outweigh these shocks over the long term, but in the near term, they warn that the energy side of this story could hit earnings harder than people expect. So on one screen, you've got shiny demos of GPT-5 level models. And on the other, you've got power grids, gas turbines, and data centers straining to keep the lights on for all that compute. Now zoom into one very specific battlefield: marketing and design. Adobe just launched a new AI suite called CX Enterprise for corporate clients, and the timing is not random at all. This suite uses AI agents to automate and personalize digital marketing. Think campaigns that generate themselves, tailor content per customer, and optimize across channels with less human hands in the loop. It's Adobe's answer to an intense new reality. AI tools from companies like Anthropic and OpenAI can already generate images, layouts, and copy that compete with traditional design workflows. In fact, on the same Friday Adobe was talking up CX Enterprise, Anthropic rolled out Claude Design, an experimental feature that lets users generate visuals like prototypes, slide decks, and one-pagers straight from its chatbot. So you can see the collision. Adobe is saying, "Don't leave. We'll give you AI inside the tools you already trust," while Frontier Labs are saying, "Just talk to our model and skip the old suite entirely." Adobe's stock has been under pressure this year, down roughly 30%, partly because investors are scared that AI might eat its core design business. So CX Enterprise isn't just a product launch, it's Adobe's attempt to prove that in the AI era, it can be the platform using AI. And finally, let's look at how AI is quietly rewiring one of the slowest, most expensive industries in the world: pharma. German drug maker Boehringer Ingelheim just announced a new AI and machine learning center in London focused on drug research and development. Pharma companies have been experimenting with AI for a while, but mostly around the edges, like trial recruitment, site selection, or paperwork. Boehringer's new London hub is about scaling that, using advanced algorithms, data analytics, and AI to speed up the most painful steps in getting a drug from idea to market, especially for patients with unmet medical needs. They're planning to invest around £150 million, about $200 million, over the next decade into this center, and they're placing it in London's Knowledge Quarter, near King's Cross, right next to major AI players like OpenAI, Google, and Meta, as the UK government tries to brand itself as an AI superpower. So yeah, that's the AI world just in the last few days. New models, new agents, new money, and a power grid that's starting to sweat. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe, drop a comment on which AI news you enjoyed the most, and I'll see you in the next one.